Vice President Harris said today she expects the former president to attack her racial and gender identity tomorrow night. I mean, if that happened, I wonder how sort of history will view that.
Oh, I think that if she's prepared for that, that could be one of those moments when she can turn things around. I mean, it seems to me surprising that he would do that. But maybe he will, knowing his impulsivity. And I can well imagine that her whole lifetime has prepared her for that. I mean, think about it was the debate which she had with Biden beforehand when he was talking about dealing with the segregation of Southerners and talking about busing. And she was very prepared for that, obviously. She said, you know, I was that little girl on the bus, but they already had T-shirts. I was that little girl on the bus going to an integrated school. So I'm sure that he's got to know that if any subject she's prepared on, it will be that, and she could really turn that around.
One of the things that struck me about, and as someone who, like Ested, has covered Kamala Harris before, she is a homework doer. And you can see the homework has been done in this interview. And it really kind of makes me wonder about, as we push toward this debate that's coming up, this meeting between these two, what kind of debate sparring partner is she going to be against Trump? And to me, the answer was discipline.
I guess if I were advising her, I would say don't make Trump big by trying to get into back and forth with him throughout the night. Make him small. I mean, he's going to try and do what Trump does. This is his 7th presidential debate. Nobody's done it more. We know what his habits are. She should have a conversation with the American people about the future that she envisions and spar with him when she has to.
We saw her do that a little bit.
Even in the toxic political climate of our times, this is a wild claim. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance, who has railed about a large influx of Haitian immigrants into the rather middle-sized town of Springfield, Ohio, posted, "Reports now show that people have had their pets abducted and eaten by people who shouldn't be in this country." And this claim, which focuses on kittens and ducks, has exploded in the far-right echo chamber, amplified by the Trump campaign, conservative commentators, Senator Ted Cruz, Donald Trump Jr., Elon Musk, and more. They are saying and or implying if you elect Vice President Kamala Harris, her immigration policies will put your pets at risk. But to be clear, this allegation against these immigrants is patently false. A far-right fever dream which could easily prey upon racist and xenophobic fears. According to Springfield city officials, there is no foundation for any of this. In a statement, they said, "We wish to clarify that there have been no credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. Additionally, there have been no verified instances of immigrants engaging in illegal activities, such as squatting or littering in front of residents' homes. Furthermore, no reports have been made regarding members of the immigrant community deliberately disrupting traffic." Yet, when CNN asked Vance's office why he is pushing such a blatant lie, they said, "Senator Vance has received a high volume of calls and emails over the past several weeks from concerned citizens in Springfield. His tweet is based on what he is hearing from them." But again, there is no truth to what he is hearing, and that is easy to check.
Can you say that he has nothing to do with it?
Well, he personally didn't have anything to do with it. Certainly a lot of folks, worked on it, came out of the Trump administration, but that's natural for any Republican administration. You're going to have the carryover for the next one. And in this case, it's conservative, but look, those ideas were open to Joe Biden and to implement if he wants to, and they actually are. It's a funny thing.
It is very conservative. Does it bother you when Trump calls it abysmal and ridiculous? I mean, something that you worked on for 2 years?
Well, I mean, I don't know what he's referring to in particular with that. Certainly there were some remarks by people at Heritage that I'd fully renounce. Any kind of, talking about a second American Revolution or bloodlessness. We have to lower the temperature in this country. But as far as the ideas within Project 2025, I think they're pretty solid. The reality is that most of what people think is in Project 2025 is in fact not in it. It's mainly misinformation.
There's a few things that Democrats have said that's not true, like on Social Security, but a lot of it, revoking access to mifepristone, which is the abortion medication that the FDA approved 24 years ago. I mean, that is part of it. When it comes to that, you want to get rid of the Inflation Reduction Act, which helped, lower the cost of prescription drugs. Those are all part of it. And when you say Trump has nothing to do with it, if he's reelected, do you think that parts of Project 2025 would ultimately come to fruition in a Trump second term?
Well, I hope so. To be fair, 400 people worked on that book, and not everyone who wrote for the book agrees with everything in the book. It's a coming together of our movement, but only a plotting of points to basically direct the next conservative president. This is a way what the conservatives would like to see. You
stepped down. It seemed kind of abrupt, given this was a blueprint for a second term. You left in July. And when you did, Susie, who you just mentioned, that's Susie Wiles, your departure that said, Trump's campaign has been very clear for over a year that Project 2025 had nothing to do with the campaign, did not speak for the campaign, and should not be associated with the campaign or in any way. Reports of Project 2025's demise would be greatly welcomed and should serve as notice to anyone or any group trying to misrepresent their influence with President Trump and his campaign. It will not end well for you. What was your response to that very forceful denunciation of your work?
Well, with apologies to Mark Twain, I'd say, the reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. The reality is that, look, we haven't had interchange with the campaign. A lot of this was done, way before President Trump even announced for office. A lot of the Heritage folks worked with the DeSantis campaign. So you might actually say it's more of a DeSantis Project 2025.
Well, Trump's name is in the document 300 times.
Well,
DeSantis is not.
Yeah, he's the former president. But like when it came time to debut the book at the Heritage 50th anniversary, President Trump wasn't invited by the Heritage management. They instead gave the seat of honor to Governor DeSantis. So I think, it's very ironic that it's now getting mapped to him. That's fake news.
If you look at the D33 plan, our objective is talent first. They need speed, they need agility, they need a government that listens. The more we create a talent-thriving community, the more interest we will have for global institutions and investors to come here.
He plays from this really old and tired playbook, right? Where there's no floor for him in terms of how low he will go. And we should be prepared for that. We should be prepared for the fact that he is not burdened by telling the truth. And we should be prepared for the fact that he is probably going to speak a lot of untruth.
And Wolf, those comments are informed by the strenuous amount of debate prep that she has done here at debate camp, essentially here in Pittsburgh. We know that she has studied closely the former president's 6 past presidential debate performances, that she has engaged in these mock debates where there has been a stand-in for the former president, and that she's been in conversation with Hillary Clinton and President Biden, who both have extensive experience debating the former president.